Hey, I'm John G.
Hey, I'm Craig B. Let's conversate. Hey there, I'm Craig.
John.
Welcome back to ConBroSationalists. We're another episode here, so we're gonna go do a new topic. Who dis?
Hopefully a lighter topic.
Yeah. The last two have been pretty deep and emotional.
Yeah, definitely.
So let's try and find something a little more lighthearted here. So we lost the hat because we were going to try and do this while we were gone on vacation, but it.
So we've turned to Ziploc.
Yeah, so we went back to the old Ziploc bag. So we're going to call it the sack of topics. So down to the old sack of suds. So reach in there and
reach into your sack.
Yeah, reach into my sack and tell me what my topic is.
Let's see here. Goals.
Ooh, like field goal, soccer goal.
I don't know. I almost said it like that. I almost went all.
It's good.
I almost went all Spanish soccer and
goal.
Strung it out there. Yeah. So.
Wow.
I mean, you could go short term. You could go the work method on it, right?
Right.
Hey, what's your short term, long term goals?
Yeah. Doesn't that tie back to the episode we did about if we lived 500 years? What's your short-term goal in 5 years as opposed to 50? Wow, that's I think everybody's kind of lifelong goal, right, is to retire at a young age where you can still,
the younger the better,
enjoy it. Yeah, which is. The wife and I are kind of working on that. She's got her side hustle she's doing. I'm working where I'm working, and she's working, and we're working on a couple of other different alternate revenue streams because that's just one of our goals is to. I think we want to retire sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
Yeah,
I'm right there with you, man. The long hours on a weekly basis gets old.
Yeah. Well, and I think at the end of the day, what you find out is that you end up giving more of your time to the company
than you do your family.
Than you do to your family, and I think I'm when the pandemic first started going on and all that stuff was happening. One of my things was I'd rather be broke and alive than rich and dead, and that was more of a comment about we have to go out and because we didn't know what was going on with the Rona and everything else that was going on, that was kind of my mindset at that point in time. And I think because of that, and some of the other things that we've seen, like I don't trust a lot of people anymore.
No, there's a level of trust that I don't know if it'll ever be branched back out.
Yeah,
I guess.
Just the unfettered trust I think is gone.
Yeah, you look at people a lot differently in the world. Keep stuff closer to the vest, I guess.
Yeah, I don't think we're as. At least I'm not. Like I don't express my opinions to a lot of people.
No.
I keep a lot of that. I mean, except
I guess for this.
Yeah, I keep most of it for this, right? But
and then you out there have the choice. If you don't like the opinion, you don't have to watch it, or you could leave crappy comments. Hopefully, you won't do that. Hopefully, if you've got crappy comments, you'll keep them to yourself.
Yeah, well, I think that's one of the issues.
Helpful comments are always appreciated.
Yeah, helpful comments are appreciated, but
tactful comments are not.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people think, I subscribe to YouTube or Twitter or whatever else, and I got a keyboard and I'm gonna say what I want. It's my First Amendment right to say whatever I want. Well, that's true. However, if you break the terms of the platform that you're on, you get booted or you
have those rights
a ban
taken away fairly quickly.
Right.
So no matter how big and powerful you are.
As we've seen in the past. And but I think my goal, both kind of short and long term, is to be the best human being that I could possibly be, and then along with that, get to a point where I'm not having to work so hard for somebody else, where I can be a little more self-sustaining, and spend all that time and effort and energy on something that I'm passionate about. Because just in the last few years or so, like I've been in the IT industry for a long, long time, and I've just kind of become disenchanted. You know what I mean?
Yeah, which you can do. I mean,
I don't know. Maybe it's my midlife crisis because I am pushing 50 and I haven't had one yet. So
yeah.
maybe that's what mine's gonna be.
Yeah, maybe it is. I mean, a lot of people do the things that they love, but then the thing that you love becomes
a burden.
A burden. Yeah. And you can definitely get disgruntled with it, or whatever term you want to use, and want to step away.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll ever want to sell plumbing supplies my whole life. It does good for me now, but I don't know if that's my lifelong passion and dream.
Right.
We'll see what happens.
Well, saying I think that's a lot of, like, for me, like trying to even now at my age, trying to figure out what my lifelong passion is.
Yeah.
Like, I think about all those coaches that I had, especially in soccer, and the people that gave up the time, to come out and coach me and do the things that they needed to for the league and that kind of stuff. Like, I'm thankful for that, and I think in the back of my head sometimes, like, maybe that's what I want to do, just go back and kind of give back in the same fashion that somebody else gave to me. I mean, we did that for a little while, but I think it got overwhelming because what they don't tell you is, hey, come be president, they said. It'll be fun, they said. Well, that's all well and good, but really being the president of anything just means you're the first volunteer.
Yeah.
And I borrowed that from Matt Shepard, because Matt is the one that told me that, hey, just you're the first one there and you're the last one to leave.
And literally you are.
He wasn't kidding.
Yeah.
He wasn't kidding. Yeah. And I have a passion for that, because that, like, well, I unfortunately grew up in the wrong period of time for soccer, because when I grew up, it wasn't really big.
Yeah, nobody cared.
Yeah, nobody cared, and now it's kind of taken on this whole new life.
Mm-hmm. It's big.
It's huge.
It's
and now you have this way for a kid to go from high school to college.
Yeah,
to the MLS, right? Yeah. They have a platform with which they went to, and when I played, I didn't. I mean, like, if I wanted to play at a university in the state, that wasn't going to happen because there was nowhere to play. Yeah, there was no program. And so I would have had to gone, thousands of miles to the East Coast or whatever. And it just, I think that's a goal of mine, is to be able to have that time to go and do those things on a more full-time basis.
Yeah, I think I'm right there with you. Like, I've got some short-term goals that are out of the way. Like, I've got a beautiful family. I think my kids are going to be smarter than me or my wife are.
And y'all aren't dumb.
yeah. Like, I don't think I'm a dumb person. But some of the things that my daughter and son come up with, I'm just like, man, you guys are geniuses.
Where'd that come from? Inside that little tiny container.
Yeah, I've wanted an off-road vehicle my entire life, and finally bought one. I'm getting my sleeve done slowly but surely. I got it added on too, but, like, big picture, right? Like, I want to retire as soon as possible. I want to continue to be philanthropic,
right?
And do good things. We've talked about how I've used my platform with work now to help with the local Toys for Tots and stuff like that.
Yeah.
For the last few years, I want to continue to do that. I'd like to get back into coaching. I really enjoyed coaching with you. As stressful as the league was, I enjoyed being part of the league.
Right. But I think that was just because we recognized. And again, I kind of got brought into soccer just by sheer dumb luck, because it was actually my brother's wife that said, "Hey, you need to go try out for the board. You can go do good things." And then I got onto the board and then recognized that there was a lot of
negative.
Not only negative, but I think there was a lot of work not being done.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things like, hey, okay, I've got to get in here and figure out what's going on. And when I ran for president, I ran unopposed because nobody else wanted to step up and do anything.
And then you found out why.
Yeah. And then, and then unfortunately life led us away, and I vacated my position and passed the torch on, so to speak, to somebody else. But, I enjoyed it. And I think you learned a lot from kind of my approach to coaching, and that, I make the team responsible for the team because I don't accept, negative comments or it is. And again, we did not have the cream of the crop of the players, but that's part of what you get when you coach in a youth league. And you're not there to win. You're there to coach these young kids and to to let them be part of something that's bigger than they are.
Yeah, and hopefully you can be somewhat of a role model. You never know what those kids are missing at home.
Right.
Right. I mean, you see people on the sideline, and you never know if it's. I mean, I guess sometimes if it's mom and dad, or mom or dad, or an aunt or whatever. You don't know what's going on in their life. So,
right.
If you can be another positive role model in a kid's life, then maybe that changes their outlook going forward.
Right.
To be a better human being when you get done, a lot of the time that we spent coaching those kids was, hey, we don't care if we win or lose out here. Like, we want to make you better than what you are today.
Yes.
Not just on the field, but off the field.
Yep.
And
exactly.
If that's losing and learning how to lose, then great.
Well, remember, my mantra the entire time that we coached was, I would rather lose and get beat by 50 goals than ever cheat and win.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you're not teaching the kids anything, right? Yeah. And that's that all the kids learn at that point, because it's a two-factor problem. The kids that are getting trounced have no fun in it,
yep.
And the kids that are doing the trouncing are having no fun either. And I just remember as a kid playing, like some of my best games that I enjoyed playing the most were some of the most competitive games, where it was evenly between both sides, and we'd lose 1-0 or we'd win 1-0. Those are the games that I remember. I don't remember the games that we blew the doors off somebody. I just don't.
Yeah. And hopefully, it's fun to win. Don't get me wrong. I'm very competitive. I know you could see that out there on whenever I was coaching with you.
Yeah.
Like, I'm very.
We want to win, right?
Yeah.
Like, because you win in life.
But I was completely. I was 100% on board with if we're going to win without cheating or trying to hurt people or anything like that.
Right.
Some of the other things that we see out there on the field, and hopefully.
Yeah, and that was in small town America too.
Yeah.
So
hopefully this fall, I'll get back out coaching and be able to coach my kids. They're excited to get back out there. I think my son for sure. My daughter is, I think, kind of on the fence, but I definitely want to get out there and at least coach my kids if I can.
Yeah, that's I'm looking at doing it that. I also want to get involved with it back at the state level, I think. And again, we are talking about goals, and one of my goals would be to go and give back to the state that helped me play for. I think I played in the state for 11 years, 12 years, something like that. Even after I got done with high school, I still played on a men's team for a period of time, and then wear and tear on my body just said, you're too old, you can't be doing this, and it just, like, my body wasn't cut out to continue doing that anymore. But I would like to get back in it at the state level at some point, even though I'm where I'm at. Most of that stuff's up further north in Albuquerque, but I'd like to get back in at that point, because I do know that the sport has a lot of positives.
Yeah.
But there are some negatives that outweigh it, and I'd like to be able to kind of negate the negatives. That's kind of a double entendre.
Yeah, it works.
Yeah.
We'll let it pass.
Yeah, I just kind of want it to be that difference that says, hey, look, you can coach and you can teach these kids, how to play without resorting to dirty tactics and kind of screwing the system over, because we saw a lot of that. So
yeah. So I don't know. Maybe I can get somewhere with my career too. My buddy's wife has asked me a couple times to go teach the middle school soccer team a couple times, and because of work and stuff like that, I haven't been able to do it.
Yeah.
I keep getting a bigger team at work, but we also keep getting busier.
Right.
So,
with great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah. So
right?
I don't know. I don't know if I'm just shooting myself in the foot at this point or what, but I don't know if that'll ever actually be an option or not. But I wouldn't mind, doing that either. Especially as my kids get older and start moving up to those ages.
Right. Yeah, that was. Oh, I mean, that's one of the things too. I'm looking at my grandson, and he's just now getting to the age where I think he can play down here. And he's, again, we talked about it in the previous episode about kind of getting back involved in society and by testing the waters a little bit on our vacation. Like I think we can. There are things that we can do to allow that to make it happen. And I don't want anybody to think that we're paranoid, right? We're not, but my wife's high risk, and so we've done everything that we needed to do to protect her. And so I think with everybody getting vaccinated and boosted and all that kind of stuff, like even now because of his age, he can get a booster.
Yeah.
So get us all protected so that if that happens, it's not as much of a deal.
Yeah. Hopefully it's fared a lot better, which it seems like it is.
Right.
Family goals, I guess. Me and my wife have been married for 13 years. Hopefully that's right. Pretty sure it's 13 years.
Yeah, 2009, right?
Sorry, wife. Hopefully we can make it another 13 years, right? Hopefully longer than that. And hopefully my kids hopefully I can see my kids grow up and be better of a human being than I am.
Right.
Like, hopefully I'm doing the things to raise them right, to be better than me. That's what I want them to do, and have their own families.
Well, that's one of the lifelong goals, right? Is to make sure that you set your kids up to be a better human than you were.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm a fairly good human, I feel like. I have my faults. But yeah, hopefully they can grow up and have whatever their idea of a family is, whatever they want that to be, and have great careers. No matter what those are, I will support them. My daughter's, 8, talking about being a tattoo artist.
Really?
Yeah,
wow.
She's always drawing and stuff. Me and Mom both have a couple tattoos. Mine a little larger than my wife's, but she's intrigued by it and has talked about it a couple times. And me and Mom are like, if that's what you want to do, then that's what you do. I guarantee my tattoo artist makes way more money than I do. I mean, I sat down for 6 hours with him and paid him $700.
Yeah.
So that's way more than I make in a day, and I work 12 hours.
Yeah.
So I will support them in that. I don't know, maybe go to some more soccer and football games.
Yeah. I think there are just certain life things that I want to do that I think would be classified as goals. Like I want to see a World Series game.
Yeah.
I'd love to see my Dallas Cowboys back in a Super Bowl and be able to go see them in the Super Bowl. I'd love to go see a college football championship game.
Yeah, that would be.
You know what I mean? Just those are just almost bucket list items.
Yeah.
You could call it, because it's getting to the point where a lot of that stuff's just so stupidly expensive.
Yeah, it's funny because I think it was Chad Ocho Cinco, whatever he's going by now, had put out a tweet or something before this last Super Bowl saying, how about we lower the prices so the actual fans can go to these games?
Right.
Because
the Super Bowl in LA, I mean, it was more of a celebrity event than it was a Super Bowl.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, when you're talking $7,000 to $10,000 per ticket,
right?
plus whatever your flight is there. I mean, you're looking at 25, 30 grand to go watch something, which, and I can't do that. Like,
yeah, no, there's.
I've watched the Chiefs lose for years and years and years, and then they were going to the Super Bowl, and I immediately started looking into it, and I'm like, I would bury our family.
Right.
Like, I'd have to get out credit cards, and I would bury us if I went to one game.
Yeah.
I can't do that.
Yeah.
Like,
no, it's ridiculous. So it's, when I saw, like, over the years, I've seen those ticket prices go up. It's just crazy to me that they can do that and not, like, if it was a once in a lifetime thing.
Yeah.
Like, okay, but the Super Bowl is every year.
Yeah.
It's every year.
Yeah.
Yeah, about the same time. It might be in a different place. It might be a different location, but it's still the Super Bowl.
Yep.
Different teams, right? But some people just can't. Like, the vast majority of Americans, there's no way that they can do
Yeah. No.
no way. When I was talking to my daughter the other day, and I just told her, I said, you do realize that the vast majority of American people don't even have like $100 in savings.
Yeah.
They just don't, and it's only gotten worse. And if anything, like, inflation right now is up and everything's high.
Yeah.
So everybody needs to have goals. Well, as part of goals, some of them can be financial, but it's hard to have financial goals
when you're barely making ends
when you're buying bologna and cheese and hot dogs.
Well, shoot, and it's even harder to make financial goals when you do have some money out there. And you see it dwindling down slowly because the economy's not really in your favor.
I can't imagine what you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I had one of my best years in my 401k. I think last year I was up 16% or something by the end of the year, and now, like, every month I look at it, there goes 2 more percent. There goes 2 more percent. Oh, there goes 5%.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just steadily losing money, and I'm like, it's really hard to
keep the faith.
And play that long game and be like, no, like, it does this, it'll come back.
Yeah.
The whole charade. But
no,
and I'm not even talking large amounts of money.
No, I feel you, because I see it in both my IRA that I have, and the money that I have in my 401k. I've seen them both just. Last year they were going this way. This year they're going this way. It's like, whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's crazy what a year can change.
Right. And I don't want people to think that we're loaded. We're not.
No, I've worked for the same company 10 years.
Yeah.
Going on 11.
Yeah.
I've always put I started at like 1% or whatever, and then bumped that up to 3. The company matches up to, I think, 3. Now I'm up to where I put like 9 or 10% every month into my 401k over 11 years. So I've got some money in there. It's not a lot by any means, but
no, I've got I think mine is 4% is what I'm putting in, and they're matching. They match that, so I just put in what they match, and then they leave it. But we're also putting money into the IRAs that I had when I left my other employer, and I had to roll my 401k over, and we had to do something with that. So, and that's one of the things that we have is financial goals, right? Because one of the things that we want to do financially is get to the point where I can live off that IRA and not be dependent upon anything else.
Yeah.
And still maintain not necessarily the lifestyle we have right at this moment, but some semblance of that.
Yeah.
Even if we were to downsize and all that kind of stuff, and those kind of things. So
because if you're planning on just Social Security, I mean, welcome to cat food.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Cat food and peanut butter.
Yeah, maybe
and peanut butter might not even be on there because I heard that they had to recall a bunch of peanut butter.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, it's kind of very unique in looking at goals right now. Because really outside of, like, of course, my weight goal would be to lose some.
Well, I mean, that's...
I don't want to carry around this, this Samsonite luggage suit all the time. But
I mean, ride that dad bod as long as you can until it's not cool anymore.
This is a grandpa bod now.
Yeah, until it's not cool.
Yeah, well, it wasn't cool when I got it, but, I didn't ask for it. It just showed up one morning.
Due time.
Yeah. It's like a bad penny. I can't get rid of it.
Yeah.
It just, it showed up and there it was. But no, it's, I mean, there's some health goals that I'm looking at, making sure that I don't eat bad food all the time.
Yeah.
Which I don't. My problem is that, one of my goals career-wise is to not be stuck behind a desk all the time. Because I think that's where a lot of my stuff comes from. I'm just so used to sitting at a mouse and keyboard and just doing what I need to do. And
with a plate of cheesecake.
Yeah.
I know that shirt.
Bro,
I know that.
That's a man after my own heart right there.
Talking spot.
Talking about cheesecake,
sweets.
Yeah, just cheesecake. Like it's no the one that we know that is sweets is about 6'6" and
yeah,
he's got a hollow leg for sweets.
Yeah, no, I've seen him pass up actual food multiple times when we go out to eat and just eat. He'll just order from the dessert menu.
Right.
Like
carrot cake, chocolate cake, ice cream.
Yeah, he doesn't really care too much, honestly. I don't.
Nope, just anything but what the legit food needs to be. Yeah. It's crazy. So, I mean, the goals are you kind of have to set them right for yourself, but a lot of times they get imposed upon you by work things or whatever.
Yeah.
But the ones I think that are most important are the ones that you set yourself because I think those are more attainable. And they don't have to be any giant, grandiose thing. Because for some people, a goal might be to get out of bed.
Yeah, and I was encouraged whenever I hired on with the company that I work with to make your 5, 10, 15-year goals, like, and not just for business,
not just for fluff,
but personal as well. And well, I've got associates today that I've tried to do the same thing with, and they won't do it. And it baffles me to a certain extent, because I think without goals, you don't have a direction. Like,
right, you just kind of meander aimlessly.
Yeah, exactly, and which is fine if that's how you want to live. But what I look at, I need to put things out there that I can obtain,
right?
And so I know I can see it and I can work on it.
Right, because when you've attained it, then you've crossed the finish line.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you can work on another goal that you need to do.
Yeah,
and that's what it is. It's just series of them, right? And if you have I hate to use this phrase, but how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. It's the same thing. You have a major goal that you're trying to get to. Like, we want to work on a backyard, so we start with little things.
Yep.
And then, a lot of times what happens is if you set a short-term goal and you accomplish it, that kind of triggers a motivation in yourself to continue to move on to bigger, better things, and move on to that next thing.
It's hard to have a direction if you don't know what the direction is, and you can't really get that direction until you have something that you've got your eye on.
Right.
So I would encourage anybody out there listening, make you some goals, no matter how small or stupid or big and grandiose you want them to be.
Yep.
At least you can see them.
Yes, and make them tangible. Here's the thing. Like, I want to be rich and famous. Okay, how are you going to become rich and famous? What are you you're going to have to put in a lot of work, because unless you're born with the proverbial silver spoon in your mouth, a lot of these people that are rich and famous had to do a lot of work to get there. A lot of work, and I know how hard you work. You know how hard I've worked. And we're still have that same work ethic. That I think what happens is that as I've gotten older, my goal has shifted from I'm going to be all in here, and I'm going to take some of that energy and I'm going to move it over here.
Yep.
I still have a goal here, but I also have a different goal here.
Well, even like the leader in the area that I work in, because we're regionalized, he'll come in for meetings that we have, and he'll tell you, like, I read this book every year, as well as many others, but I read this book every year because it reminds me it resets me on what I need to do this year. And he's like, and then I have my binder. And he said, I write down my goals every year. And if I don't obtain one of the goals that I had this year, I move it to the next one.
You carry it over.
So I still see it. And sometimes it's that, right? Sometimes it's a sticky note on your computer or on your mirror in the bathroom.
Right. That's kind of where I was going to go. I said it doesn't have to be anything that you need to tell anybody.
Yeah.
Write it down on a sticky note and put it on a mirror so that when you wake up in the morning, you're brushing your teeth, you see it.
There was a video of a guy and his daughter, and I wanted to do this and I didn't. Mainly because I'm kind of on a different schedule than the rest of my family. I'm up and out of the house before they
even awake.
Yeah, before they get going.
Right.
But he would hold his daughter up to the mirror, and he would have her recite what he would say, and he would tell her, "I'm beautiful, I'm smart," like all these uplifting, positive things.
Right.
And he would have her do that as well.
I'm beautiful, I'm kind.
I thought it was like so amazing. I was like, I want to do this with my daughter, at least with my daughter.
Sure.
Going back to a couple episodes, the whole stigma of how females have it harder. Maybe if I did something like that, it would give her an edge, right?
Right.
Unfortunately, I haven't been able to do that because
time. Yeah.
I'm up and working for an hour and a half before she's even opening her beautiful little eyes.
Right, wiping the sleepy crusties out.
Yeah. But I thought that video was so cool. Just maybe that's what it is, right? You're uplifting yourself every day.
Yeah. Yeah, because that has to. I mean, again, the goals have to be short term, long term, midterm, right? They're all levels. But the thing is that by making them attainable, then when you get them, you have that sense of accomplishment. And a lot of people, I think, are missing those things, right? Like for me, my first goal is to get up when the alarm goes off. Like, because normally I get over and I just slide it off, and I'm like, I
got 15 minutes.
Yeah, I got a little bit of time, but nope. I saw something that said within like 3 or 5 seconds of your alarm going off, like get up and just sit up out of the bed. Just sit up, right? Make that be the first goal of the day. Get up when your alarm goes off, and if you can get that one done, then it's just easy to kind of compound them and add on to them.
Yeah.
And everybody gets concerned about the big picture stuff, the giant goals. Well, in order to get to the giant one, you have to do all these little ones along the way.
Yeah.
And financial goals and all that kind of stuff. It's tough too. Like
financial goals almost have to be like baby steps. It's got to be like, I want to put $100 in the bank at the end of this week, and I want to have $1,000 in the bank by the end of the year.
Right.
And I want to double that the next year.
Right.
Sometimes you have to think small term to like say, hey, in 30 years I want to have $1 million.
Right.
Set aside.
And I mean, and there's been enough on the financial perspective. There's been enough financial people come out and say, hey, if you take an extra $10 and you do this, every week without fail, right? By the time you get to, if you start at 18, by the time you get to 50 or whatever, you could have over $1 million in there. But what happens is that people don't, life throws curves at them all the time, right? I think it was Ferris Bueller says if life comes at you pretty fast, if you don't stop and look around once in a while, you might miss it. It's the same thing with the financial stuff. And, with life throwing curveballs all the time, we forget about those little things.
Yeah.
And he mentioned $100. It doesn't even have to be. It could be $1.
Yeah.
If you could save $1 by the end of the week, hey, you build on that, right? Everybody has to start somewhere. Because I tell you, man, when I got out of the Navy and I got back, like I couldn't even rub 2 pennies together. We just didn't. I just didn't have it.
Which we've talked about before.
Yeah, just didn't have it.
How ridiculous that sounds.
Yeah, we just didn't have it, and it took a long time to climb and fight tooth and claw to get where I've gotten. And I've left situations because it didn't afford me the time with my family that I wanted or that I needed.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I think your goal should be family. And whatever that family is for you, everybody's family dynamic's a little bit different.
Right.
And sometimes the goal needs to be like their number one, which should be the goal, right? But we let a lot of things get in the way of.
Yeah, we do.
I mean, today I give way too much to my work. I know that. But
you also have goals at work that drive you to do the things that you do, because if you don't meet those goals, somebody might be losing their job.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah, it's not just it's not just me and my family anymore. Like I have to excel at a high level to make sure that I keep the other 5 people that work for me.
I just was gonna ask you how many it was now. 5 or 6.
Yeah, I've got 5 now. It's the biggest. It's the biggest the branch has ever been, which is what I wanted it to be. So that was one of my goals.
Right.
I wanted to take over that branch
and grow it,
and I wanted it to be bigger and better than it had ever been before. And it took me a few years, and
as they say, Rome
bigger and better than it's ever been.
Rome wasn't built in a day, so you have to take those steps. But you did things along the way, the little milestones that you hit along the way to that goal. And I think that's one of the key aspects is they have to be believable, right?
Yeah.
Believe it to yourself, and then you work at it.
Yeah.
And you can't just set a goal and it's just going to happen. It's going to fall in your lap. That's not how this works. You set a goal and you work. Yeah. And a lot of times you work your ass off to get there.
Yeah.
But then by the time you get there, you have that sense of accomplishment. You have that sense of pride. And then you're like, oh, hey, I can do this again. But what am I going to work on now? Like, where am I going to pivot that to?
Yeah.
And what am I going to focus on?
And you can't set yourself up for failure either.
No.
Like you said earlier, you have to make that goal obtainable. So if you've got a tough goal, like maybe before you actually go down that path, you write out a way that you're going to get there.
Yeah. Well, most businesses, right, when they start, you have to formulate a business plan, which basically what a business plan is, that's a goal for the business.
Yeah, it's a way.
Because in order for the business to be sustainable, right, this is how it's going to have to work.
It's you telling other people and yourself why your business isn't going to fail, because most businesses do fail.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, a lot of people's hobbies turn into businesses, and they don't realize that a hobby can't be a business. Usually, it's a business is a business. You have to run it like one.
Right, and you have to treat it that way.
Yeah. You've got to get your elbows and knees deep in the crap to keep it sustained, to make it profitable the first couple years. Before it kind of will just kind of manage itself to some extent. Yeah,
and I think what happens, especially and we'll just kind of keep it in a business sense, is I think what happens with a lot of the small businesses is that people have an idea like, hey, I'm going to go make T-shirts.
Yeah.
Right? But the issue with making T-shirts is that there's a lot of competition in that market. Mm-hmm. So you have to find your unique niche in order to do that. But to go make T-shirts, there's a lot of stuff that you have to look at. There's a heat press. There's, a vinyl cutter. There's a certain kind of vinyl. There's all these tools that you need to have in order to just make a T-shirt. But then once you get into making T-shirts, and you can't just make crappy T-shirts, because you make one crappy T-shirt for somebody, then you're out of business.
Yep.
And there's a lot of work. So you have to constantly, I think what happens, they have an idea, and they're like, oh, this will make me plenty of money, and then they realize, oh, it doesn't make me near as much money, and then they stop putting forth that effort and energy into it.
Or they didn't realize that they were going to be somewhat successful and have to work as much as they do.
Right.
They're like, I'm going to start a business, I'm going to hire people to run it, and I'll just oversee and make the money.
Right.
Well, you are the overhead.
Yes.
When you start.
Yes.
Most instances, you are the overhead when you start a business.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I've seen a couple businesses in Roswell fail, because of they brought in a lot of extra overhead in their first year or so, and were bleeding money.
Right.
And it took them too long to realize that they were bleeding money. and not actually making anything.
Yeah, again, that ties back into the goals, right? Like you have to make sure, all right, I'm going to start this business, I'm going to do these things, but at some point you have to understand that finances are a part of that.
Yeah.
And I think that's a part that people, if I do this and sell this product, this Who's It What's It or this Gizmo or Whirligig or whatever, and then that Gizmo is going to have enough markup in it, right? That I will be able to continue to sustain these other things without knowing that's not how that works. And that was one of, way back when I had my business, that was one of the things that I had to learn about my pricing. Because my personal knowledge I felt was worth X amount of dollars an hour. But my physical products weren't, because there was a whole lot of competition.
Yep.
And so I had to always price myself kind of right in the middle of the road.
Yep.
And a lot of times I lost a lot of sales because people wanted something cheap. I'm like, if you want something cheap,
then go to that guy.
Go to Walmart, because
call me when it fails.
Yeah.
And then you can pay me double.
Yeah. But
because it would have been easier to do
right.
it from the
And a lot of times that was my kind of reverse psychology on them. But like, you can do this now or you can do this later, but you're going to have to do it.
Yeah.
Because what you're wanting to do is not going to be done by this gizmo.
Yeah.
You need this other gizmo that has two of these put together.
Yep.
And it's just the mindset is, and again, everybody's aware of costs and what those what certain things cost, but the problem is that all they see is the cost, and they don't see the value that gets returned by buying a different product.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not in the exact budget that you had in your mind, but name me anything that people buy that's always in their budget. Not very much.
Yeah.
Not very. You buy a house, you generally have to go out of your budget to get the house that you want.
Same thing.
Car, right? And right.
Shoot, even when you go buy groceries, it's usually more than what you had imagined it being.
Yep. You go and you spend $300, and you're like, what did I buy? Like, I got a pack of hot dogs and a couple of cans of tuna.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just crazy. So, but goals, again, keep them small, keep them attainable. Remind yourself every so often why you're making this goal, while you're doing this goal, and then just work towards it. And it doesn't have to be this great big grandiose thing. If you want it to be great big grandiose, by all means. You want to make $1 million by the time you're 50, get after it. But know that it's going to take a series of little goals to get to that big goal.
And try to diversify them. Try to make some personal and professional.
Yes.
It'll make you more rounded at the end of the day, and usually they'll end up intertwining anyways. So.
Right. Yeah. You'll find out that a lot of that stuff kind of weaves itself together like the fabrics in a rug, right? Because you'll find out that it's not just you start making little tweaks into your business, it carries over into your personal life, which includes your marriage and your interpersonal relationships. Yeah. But it also funnels down into your finances too, and you'll find that all of that stuff kind of flows together. But just remember, at the end of the day, you work to live. You don't live to work.
Yeah.
And that's kind of been my philosophy the last 3-4 years. So
it's
taken me a long time to get there, but
it's hard to think about. It's hard to think about it and actually do it. But that's definitely the avenue that everybody should be looking at.
So maybe that would be one of your goals, is to possibly scale it back enough to where you didn't have to work so much. I know it's nice in theory, but in practice, it's always a different story.
Well, that's why I keep adding people at work, but then we get busier on top of it.
Right.
I'm just, I don't know.
Yeah, you're on a sinking boat and you're constantly bailing out water.
Yeah, we're doing all right though. We're doing all right.
Yeah. So.
Thank you again.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you again for hanging around. Like we always say, like, share, subscribe.
Yep.
Leave a comment below. Do all that good stuff.
Yeah. Leave us some of your goals.
Yep. Leave us a goal, or 5 or 12 or whatever. And with that, I'm Craig.
John.
And we'll see you in the next one.
Thanks. Hey, so thanks for watching. Make sure that you go hit the like and subscribe. Make sure notifications are turned on so you get the latest videos. And remember, never stop conversating. If you want to send us topics, send those to topics@ConBroSationalists.com.